You became the strong one before you ever had the choice. People rely on you, but rarely stop to check if you're okay. You handle everything quietly, like it's just normal for you. And somehow, no one ever worries about the strong one. At first, it feels like a role you earned, being dependable, composed, the one who doesn't break under pressure. People trust you, come to you, lean on you, and you carry it well. But over time, something subtle begins to shift. That strength people admire slowly turns into an expectation. Not something you offer anymore, but something you're assumed to always have. You stop being seen as someone who can struggle. Instead, you become the one who handles struggles for everyone else. And the strange part is, you don't even correct them. Because somewhere along the way, you learn that showing cracks changes how people treat you. So you hold it together, even when it's heavy. It's strange, really strange. How strength can make you invisible in a different way. Not unseen because you lack value, but unseen because people think you don't need anything. And maybe it didn't start with you trying to be strong. Maybe it started with situations that forced you to adapt. Moments where being emotional wasn't safe, or wasn't allowed, or just wasn't useful. So you learned control. You learned composure. You learned how to swallow reactions and think things through instead of feeling them out loud. And that worked. It made you capable, reliable, calm under pressure. The kind of person people respect. The kind of person people depend on. But here's the part no one talks about. When you're always the strong one, you don't just carry your own weight. You quietly carry pieces of everyone else's too. You listen when others vent. You stay calm when others panic. You give advice, reassurance, stability, and you do it so naturally that people forget it takes something from you. Because it does. Every time you absorb someone else's stress, every time you hold space without expressing your own, something builds up inside. Not all at once, but gradually. And since you don't express it easily, it stays there. You might notice it in small ways. Feeling tired without a clear reason, getting overwhelmed by things that normally wouldn't affect you, wanting space, but not knowing how to ask for it. But even then, you probably tell yourself, "It's nothing, I'm fine," because that's what you've always done. You minimize your own feelings so you can keep functioning, so you can keep being the strong one. But wait, when was the last time someone truly showed up for you the way you show up for others? Not just casually asking, but actually noticing, actually listening, actually holding space, without expecting you to have it all figured out. It doesn't happen often, does it? And the reason isn't that people don't care. It's that you've become so good at handling everything, people assume there's nothing to worry about. You've trained the world to see you as unshakable. And now, even when you feel shaken, no one sees it. That's the hidden cost. You become emotionally self-sufficient, to the point where asking for support feels unnatural, even uncomfortable, like you're stepping outside of who you're supposed to be. So instead, you process things internally. You think things through, rationalize them, calm yourself down, alone. And from the outside, it looks like strength. But from the inside, it can feel like isolation. Because strength, when it's constant and one-sided, can quietly disconnect you from people, not in obvious ways, but in subtle ones. You might have people around you, conversations, relationships, but still feel like there's a part of you no one really touches. Like you're present, but not fully known. And maybe you've gotten used to that. Maybe it even feels normal. But normal doesn't always mean healthy. Because humans aren't designed to carry everything alone, no matter how capable they are. Even the strongest people need space to be not strong sometimes. The problem is, when you've built your identity around being the strong one, letting that guard down feels risky. What if people see you differently? What if they don't respond the way you hope? What if they don't understand? So you stay consistent, reliable, controlled. You keep being who everyone expects you to be. even if it means leaving parts of yourself unexpressed. And over time, that creates a quiet imbalance. You give more than you receive. You understand more than you're understood. You hold space more than you're held. Not because you're being taken advantage of, but because you've made it easy for people to rely on you without realizing you need support too. It's not their fault entirely. It's a pattern, one that formed slowly, reinforced over time. But it is something you can become aware of. Because here's the truth. Being strong doesn't mean being unavailable to your own needs. It doesn't mean suppressing everything just to maintain an image. It doesn't mean carrying everything just because you can. Strength isn't about never needing help. It's about knowing when to allow it. And that's where things get complicated. Because allowing it feels unfamiliar. You're used to being the one who helps, not the one who asks. You're used to solving, not expressing. You're used to holding things together, not letting them be seen while they're still messy. So even when someone is willing to be there for you, you hesitate. You filter what you say. You simplify it. You make it easier for them instead of being fully honest about what you're carrying. And that keeps the cycle going. You stay strong, they stay unaware, and nothing really changes. But imagine, just for a second, what it would feel like to not always be the one holding everything together. To speak without organizing your thoughts perfectly first. To admit you're overwhelmed without immediately downplaying it. To let someone see the version of you that's still figuring things out. It might feel uncomfortable, maybe even a little unnatural. But it's also real. And real is what creates connection. Because people don't connect to perfection or constant strength. They connect to honesty, to vulnerability, to moments where you're not just composed, but human. And that doesn't make you weak. If anything, it makes your strength more complete. Because now, it's not just about what you can carry alone. It's about what you're willing to share, to release, to trust someone else with. And that changes everything. You don't have to stop being dependable. You don't have to lose your calm, your awareness, your ability to handle things. Those are parts of you that were built with intention, shaped by experience. But they don't have to come at the cost of your own emotional space. You're allowed to be supported too. You're allowed to be understood without explaining everything perfectly. You're allowed to have moments where you're not the strong one. And maybe that's the part no one ever told you. That strength isn't meant to isolate you. It's meant to carry you, not cage you. Because at the end of the day, being the strong one shouldn't mean being the only one holding everything together. It shouldn't mean being the one no one checks on. It shouldn't mean being quietly overwhelmed while everyone assumes you're fine. And if that's been your experience, if you've been carrying more than you show, holding more than you express, then maybe it's time to shift something, even slightly. Not by changing who you are, but by allowing more of yourself to be seen. Because you were never meant to be strong alone. And maybe, just maybe, you don't have to be anymore.